Hi yarny friends, I'm Sara Sach. Welcome back to my crochet channel. Now today's video is of course our Friday fun day. And what we have for today is our coffee cup, magnet, and applique of the month. And just to recap, all of the patterns, including the graph pattern for the pillow or the wall hanging, and all the patterns for the coffee mugs are all free Ravelry downloads. Okay, and you can find them all on my Ravelry shop. All right, so first we made the graph, and you can make it into a pillow or a wall hanging as I showed you. And then each month we're adding a coffee cup in some sort of different shape or design, sort of to depict each month. Okay, and this was our first one. This is January, February, March, April showers, April, May flowers, May, and today we're doing the sunshine mug. Isn't that a cute little guy? My granddaughter said it looked like a starfish. I'm okay with that. I love this one. It's shaped a little bit different, and something you'll notice that when the first one I did is a little bit smaller, but I kind of like the cups just a wee bit bigger, and so I added them so that they're just a little bit bigger and kind of make a bigger and bolder statement on our wall hanging or pillow. All right, so this is the one we're doing this month. Isn't it cute? I just love it. And that is our June coffee mug, applique, and magnet, because we're putting magnets on the back also if you want to. And each month I'm actually making two. That way you can see them in different colors and how they look. This one, of course, I did in a light blue with some yellow. And I'm doing another one that's going to be similar. Of course, we're going to use the same pattern so you can learn how to do it. I'm just going to do some different colors. And what I'm trying to say here is, just because I've done them in certain colors, the way I striped this rainbow or striped this one or didn't stripe this one, you can use whatever yarns that you want to, and lots of different colors. But we'll talk more about yarns in just a few minutes. Now this one measures approximately 3.5 by 4 inches, and that's kind of the size I'm kind of staying with now. You'll notice these are all just a little bit bigger than that first one, like I said, and I'm using all acrylic yarns. You can use cotton or cotton blend if you want to. All right, now you can find the complete pattern on my blog, and as always, I'll put that blog link down in the notes underneath this video. All right, so let's talk about supplies. Like I said, I am using medium weight number 4 acrylic yarns. And for my cup, I'm going to use this sort of a aqua blue color that I have. And again, they're all medium weight number 4 acrylics, but I don't really know the brands because I just got in my yarn stash and put some things together. And that's kind of what this project is all about. All right, so I'll be doing the cup portion in this light teal, and then I'm using a little bit darker gold for the sun. I almost said starfish. For the sun and this fun little edge here. Okay, and then of course you're going to need a little bit of black if you want to put a little face on your sun. It's okay if you think it's a starfish, because it's all about sunshine, vacations, and summer, and a lot of us like to go to the beach. So there you go. All right, we're going to use an H-hook, 5mm crochet hook. You need a needle, of course, for weaving in ends and embroidering on the little face. We are going to be doing the sun as a separate applique and stitching it onto the mug this month, okay? Now, you'll notice I have some other things here. If you're going to make it a magnet, you can use leftover magnets off of other items, and I do that often. I hate throwing them away because there's lots of fun things you can do with magnets. Because I use those tablets that you stick on the refrigerator to keep notes. Okay, but you can also get one of these. This is from the Dollar Tree, and there's 12 of these buttons in here, and they're super strong. Okay, You buy one pack, you've got it for the whole year that we're using because we're making 12. All right, now this right here is a stitch holder for knitting. And I like to use this because we're going to be putting a back on here to make it a little bit stiffer. And I'll talk about that in a second. But I like to use this for putting it on my hanging, wall hanging, so I can hook it in the back from behind and it can hang there and not affect the backing. And the backing to me is very important because this felt is a sticky felt. It's a peel and stick, 99 cents at Hobby Lobby. I did see these at Walmart the other day, but I think they were $1.29. I can't remember. But anyway, I love this because it's a peel and stick. You can cut it to fit the back, okay, and then stick it right on. And by doing that on these, it just gives it just a little bit of sturdiness. Now, they come in red, blue, white, green, and black. Those are the only colors I've seen them in, just the basic colors, which is totally fine. I'm just using white on all of mine, and they cover up your stitches and anything that's on the back as well. Then you can hot glue your magnet right on, or you've got space up here to put your pin on. Okay, now I have been given some other options for using this, and if you're just going to use it as appliques, you can put Velcro right here and Velcro on the back, and that will work nicely too. I didn't want to do that. I did buy some, but I didn't want to do that because if I ever want to just set this out, I didn't want that Velcro sitting right there on there. But that's totally up to you. And I had another suggestion. Someone said, when you're making your pillow or your hanging, wall hanging, you can put a magnet behind, and then the magnet on the back that we put on here will magnet right to it. And I thought that was another really good suggestion. And it's just kind of up to you how you want to do it. And like I said, I'm making 2 of each cup so you can see them in different colors. And I'm going to be putting one on my refrigerator and one on my wall hanging. And this one I'm not going to be putting them on all the time, because I want to make this, and then I want to, when we're done, I just want to set this in my living room. I think it'd be super pretty in the living room. I also wanted to mention that I am using my Cool Shot glue gun to attach the magnets onto the back of my cup that I'm going to be using as a magnet on my refrigerator. You can use other glues like E6000 or a fabric glue of some kind, or Gorilla Glue, whatever that you want. I just really like using the glue gun for this project. All right, let's get started. We're going to begin with our slip knot, and we're going to chain 6 chains. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. All right, now we're going to turn, and we're going to single crochet in that second chain from the hook, and then we'll single crochet in those next 4. And chain 1. And that's our first row, row 1. We have 5 single crochets. All right, we chained 1. We're going to turn our work and stitch 1 single crochet in those 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So on this row, row 2, we have 5 single crochets as well. Now we're going to chain 1 and turn. In the first single crochet on row 3, we're going to stitch 2 single crochets. 1 and 2. Then we'll stitch 1 in the next 3. 1, 2, 3. And then we'll stitch 2 in the last. 1 and 2. And so now we went from having 5 to having 7 single crochets. All right, so we have our 7 single crochets. We're going to chain 1 and turn, and we're just going to stitch 1 single crochet in each of those 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 single crochets, chain 1 and turn. All right, so row 4 we have 7 single crochets. Now for row 5 we're going to stitch 2 single crochets in the first one, 1 and 2. Then we'll single crochet across, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then in that last single crochet we'll stitch 2, 1 and 2. So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 single crochets. We'll go ahead and chain 1 and see how that has starting to have the shape of our coffee cup. So we have 9 single crochets across. We chained 1, turn our work, and we're going to stitch 1 single crochet in each of those 9. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 single crochets and chain 1. So we have 9 single crochets and we chained 1. We're going to turn our work, and now what we're going to do is we're going to repeat this row 4 more times. We're not going to increase anymore. We're just going to stitch 1 single crochet in each of those single crochets, and we're going to repeat this, which is row 6, for 4 more rows. I have completed those 4 additional rows, so that brings me up to row 10. All right, so we chained 1, we're going to turn our work, and we're going to single crochet across the top one more time. This is the top edge of our cup, so we'll stitch 1 single crochet in those 9. All right, now we'll chain 1 and we're going to evenly single crochet down the side. And there's not a set amount of stitches. You want to just try to make it nice and neat and even. You don't want your stitches to be too close, but you don't want them to be too far apart either. If they're too far apart, you'll see gaping holes. If they're too close together, it'll ripple up a little. We don't want that. We want it nice and even. All right, so I'm down to the bottom here. Move that tail of yarn out of the way. I'm going to chain 1, and that's going to give us a nice crisp edge on the bottom. All right, so we'll go right across the bottom, stitching in those beginning, because those were those beginning chains where we started. Get my yarn out here. Alrighty, so now we'll chain 1 again, turn and work up this side so that we have a nice even row of single crochets going all the way around our cup. There we go. Alrighty, almost to the top. Alright, so I'm at the top. I'm going to chain 1 and then I'm going to join to that first single crochet with a slip stitch. All right, and so this is how our cup will look at this point. Now, before we add the cup handle, I do want to show you something. I need to weave this tail end in, right? And in some of these places where we have a little bit of a hole, you can go through that and do your weave so that it sort of closes up that hole. Don't pull it tightly, but gently, so that it sort of closes up that little bit of a hole. And that hole is from where we increased. For some reason, it does sometimes make just a little bit of a hole. And you can fix that when we weave in this end. And it'll just make it look just a little bit neater. So make sure you leave a little bit of a tail for weaving in when we begin. All right, now we can put our handle on. So we've chained one, we're going to turn our work. We're going to slip stitch in the first 3 single crochets. So there's 1, 2, and 3. We're going to chain 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're going to skip 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we'll join to the next with a slip stitch. Chain 1 and turn. And now we're going to make the handle, and we're going to single crochet 8 times around the handle. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. We'll join to that slip stitch with a slip stitch. That split on me. Let me do that again. There we go. Alrighty, so now we'll just clip that. Alright, and we've got our mug done, but I want to weave this end in. And then once I get this weaved in, we'll need to make our sunshine or starfish. Alright, let's make our sunshine. I've got my gold yarn here that I'm making mine out of. So I'll start with my slip knot. I'm going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Join this into a circle. Make that stay knot. And again, if you want to use a different method for your beginning circle, totally fine. Alright, so we're going to go in, pull up a loop, and chain 1. And now we're going to stitch 12 single crochets. 1, 2, 3. You'll also notice I'm stitching over my tail of yarn. 4, 5, 6. It's going to be a tight fit. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. All right, I'm going to join to my first single crochet with a slip stitch. So I'm going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But before I do that, I want to go back here because we have a big hole there, right? So we need to close up that hole nice and securely. And I'm just going to go ahead and weave this in so that hole is nice and closed in the center of my sunshine. I should have named this mug "You Are My Sunshine." You can call it that if you want to. Alrighty. That's all weaved in securely. Notes out of the way there. Alrighty, now, So for row 1 on our sunshine, we've got 12 single crochets around. We've closed up our hole and we chained 5. All right, so we chained 5. We're going to slip stitch in the second and third chain. And then in the next chain, we're going to single crochet. All right, now we're going to slip stitch. That's a tight one, isn't it? They're going to be tight in the next, and then we'll go to the next one, and we'll slip stitch and chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to slip stitch in the second and third chain. We're going to single crochet in the next chain. Then we'll slip stitch in the next single crochet. Then slip stitch in the next single crochet and chain 5. All right, so I've got 2 spikes on my sun. So I need to do this 3 more times. So slip stitch in the second and third chain, single crochet in the fourth, slip stitch in the next single crochet, then slip stitch in the next single crochet and chain 5. I have completed 3 of my sun spikes, and now I need to do this 3 more times so that I have a total of 6 of my sun spikes. All right, so let me slip stitch in the next. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Slip stitch in the second and third chain, single crochet in the next, and then slip stitch in the next stitch and slip stitch in the next single crochet, and again chain 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. All right, so now I've got 4, and I'll do this 2 more times, so I'll have 6 spikes. So I stitch that 2 more times. I join to my single crochet down there, and I'm going to cut off my yarn, but I am going to leave a nice long tail because we're going to use that to sew it onto our mug. All right, so we're going to go ahead and tie this off. And now I have my 6 spikes for my sunshine. Isn't that cute? Just love it. Before we put this onto our mug, we want to go ahead and add the face onto our sunshine. Now I chose to add a really simple sunshine face to mine. Just kept it really simple. Just added a couple of lines at the top for the eyes. Whoopsie. And you can use French knots if you prefer. And you can do different kinds of eyes if you prefer. I just wanted to keep it really simple. Almost a little bit emoji-ish. All right, so there's my eyes. And now I'm just going to make a little V mouth. Super cute. Although, is it just me or does he look a little bit annoyed at me? Maybe I slanted his eyes too much. It's so cute. Alrighty, so on the back we'll just make a quick knot to hold it. And I know we're doing crochet, but this is going to be underneath, and so we're just going to make a nice flat knot. There we go. And so now my sunshine has a nice annoyed smile. I can't help it. I love it. All right, so now it's time to sew it on to our cup. And it's up to you how you want to do it, as far as if you want your sun rays to stand up or not. And you can do it real quick. You may want to use some pins and hold it in place. I'll just use my hand, hold it. Okay, so the first thing I do is I'll go down around the center edges and do just some quick, what I call basting stitches. And this will help it hold in place where I want it to be. Sorry, I'm squishing his face a little bit. All right, and this is why I said leave a long tail, because excuse me, we're gonna sew this little baby on here. We want it to stay. All right, so I went around the edges, and now that's going to stay in place. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here and just sort of place it where I want it and stitch down, and then I'll stitch back up, and then I'll do the same on each one of my rays. And again, you can place this sun anywhere you want on here. You can have it to the side a little bit. You know, just have some fun with it however you want to place it on there. All right, and so I'm just going to keep stitching until I have all 6 of my sun rays where I want them to be. And this sun is cute, and you could use it for other things as well. It's a really simple little sun, or maybe starfish. So I've got my little sunshine all sewed on. It looks a little bit like he's dancing now instead of annoyed, I think. Alrighty, and so I'm just going to weave it in the back. And remember, don't worry about your stitches back here, because that felt piece is going to cover all your places where you weaved in and sewed your sun on the back. All right, now one more thing before we put the back on is the top little edging. All right, and so what we're going to do is we're going to come over here. We're going to leave that on there, and we're going to whip that over just like that. And I'm stitching over that to hold it in the back. And all we're doing is just doing some whip stitches in each of the stitches across for just a nice fun edge. And I'm putting that in there because I want the yarn to hold that edge down before I weave it in. All right, and see how that works? We're just gonna go through each of the stitches, make a nice little whip stitch. And that just gives it just a nice fun little edge. Kind of got too high up there, didn't I? All right, now when we get to the last one, over there on there, there we go. I'm just going to go down like that, and then we can come to the back and we can sort of weave that in, and I'm coming back down here so I can hide that under my felt piece. Okay, now this one I attached because I stitched over it. And so now my cup is ready to have the back put on. I kind of love that this one's sitting a little bit different than this one. See how this one's really flat? This one's sort of dancing. See, but using different colors and different, way we sew it on, we get kind of different looking mugs, even with the same pattern. All right, so the next thing we need to do is put the felt piece on. And I've already cut them to fit. And I always cut them so the top of this isn't covered. That way I can use my stitch pin and put that on my hanging wall hanger or pillow. All right, so I'm just going to peel the sticky back off. And that's why I love these. Now you could use regular felt and glue it on, but why? This sticky stuff is really strong. And it doesn't have to be put on there perfectly. You just want to cover it. And I always give it a good rub. But I'm telling you, these do not come off at all. I mean, they don't. They're on there nice and snug. All right, so now it has sturdiness to it. And another thing that you can do, if you don't like the shape of it a little bit, and you want it to be maybe more rounded or something, you can do that and then put that on there, and that's going to hold that in place. Just a little thing that will help. All right, so I've got my magnet. My glue gun's nice and hot, and I want it right in the middle. So I'm going to put a little glob right down there in the middle. And I like to use a lot of glue. I know a lot of people like to be sparing with it, but I want to use a lot of glue because I want that to come up around the sides of that magnet, and I sort of push it. And be careful, don't burn your finger. You know, and then that needs to dry. So that is our June sunshine or starfish mug of the month. And remember, all of the mugs, the graphs, and everything in our crochet along for 2025 is all a free Ravelry download. So don't forget to go get that from Ravelry, or you can just look at it on our blog as usual.